All right, this video is to hopefully help out with you doing the quadratic formula. I'm going to do problems 28, 9-28, 9-30, which is a word problem, and 9-39. Okay, so starting with 9-30. No, 29 was first. 28. 28. Yep, that's what I'm doing. 9-28. Let me just check that you can see this. Oops. Can you see that? There it is. All right, 9-28. So this problem says, use the quadratic formula to solve part B of problem 27 from above. Did your solution match the solution you got by factoring using the zero product property? So here is problem B from the previous question. 0 equals 3x squared plus 17x minus 6. This happens to be the one that I just did in the other video. Okay? So now we're going to solve this with a different strategy. We're going to use it with the quadratic formula, which here's the quadratic formula. Okay? So here's that formula. First we have to decide what is a, b, and c from our equation. Okay? So the a is the number in front of the x squared. So our a is going to be this 3. The number in front of the x is our b number, so that's positive 17. The number by itself is the c number, so that's negative 6. So we're going to plug this into our equation, x equals, because we're trying to find x. Just like you did factoring, you solve for x. We're doing the same thing, just doing a different way. So I'm going to do the opposite of b. b was positive 17, so I'm going to do negative 17. Plus or minus sign is just a shortcut, so we don't have to write this equation once with a plus sign and once with a minus sign. We're just putting it together, so it saves us a little room. Then I have b squared, so 17 squared. Let's put that in parentheses. Okay, minus 4, that always says it's a minus 4, times a, which is 3, and times c, which is minus 6. And all of that's under the square root sign. And then I have all this divided by 2 times my a. a was worth 3 again. Okay? So we're going to put this into the calculator slowly. So what I would do is type in just the stuff. Let's see if I do have another marker. Type in just this stuff underneath the square root sign, not including the square root sign. Okay? So if I type that into my calculator, make sure you do just 17 squared minus 4 times 3 times negative 6. Okay? Make sure this is a subtraction sign, not a negative sign. So under the square root sign, you will get, I'm going to copy everything else down. Under the square root sign, you should get 361. Under that square root sign. Divided by 2 times 3, I'm going to put that's 6 down here. Okay? So then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take care of this plus or minus, which means I should have 2 answers. So I'm going to go up here now. Okay? So x equals, I'm going to do negative 17 plus the square root of 361 into my calculator. Okay? And then I'm going to do divide by 6. You're going to do this and then hit enter, and then divide by 6. Okay, so one of your answers, when you do the plus sign, you're going to get x equals positive 7. Okay? And if you do, now I have to do it with the minus sign. Negative 17 minus the square root of 361. Okay? And then divide that by 6. All right, so type this top half in first, hit enter or hit equals, and then take that answer and divide it by 6. So then your other possible answer is, oops, sorry, I actually didn't even know what the answer was. I just was kind of trying to remember it. So my answer should be 1/3 here and negative 6. Okay, those are what the answer should be. If you type it in, that's what you would really get. I was just kind of going off of memory here. So make sure you type in this top half first, hit enter, then divide by 6. So here's your 2 solutions. And the question is, or do you get the same answer as if you were to factor it, which you did in the previous question? So the answer is yes, I get the same solution. Same solution as if you were to factor with the box and diamond, you'd get the same exact answer. Okay? Sometimes it's going to be better to do this quadratic formula, especially when we have decimals or fractions or really big numbers involved. Okay? So that's that one I wanted to show you. And now next I want to show you problem 30, which is going to use the quadratic formula, but it's a word problem. So we have, I think there's like an area, tells you the area of some space, and then it tells you the length and width, and you gotta write an equation, then you need to solve it. Okay, so problem 30 let's see, it says, solve the following problem using any method, write your solution as a sentence. The length of a rectangle is 5 centimeters longer than twice the length of the width. If the area of the rectangle is 403 square centimeters, what's the width? So I'm going to draw a rectangle. I know the area is 403, that's the inside, right? Let's look at the first sentence of problem 30. It says the length of a rectangle, the length here, is 5 centimeters longer, so something plus 5, than twice the width. I'm going to say width is W. So W is the width, and L, the length, is double the width, and then plus 5 from there. So to find area of a rectangle is length times width. So we're going to do that. The area, they told us, was 403, equals the length, which is 2W plus 5, times the width, which I'm just calling W. You can call it X, doesn't matter. I just use the same variable. So now I need to solve this. So we're going to first distribute the W. It just happens to be on the other side, but it does the same thing. You multiply by W. 403 equals 2W squared plus 5W. Now from here, we need to solve this again. Whatever method you use, when I'm doing this quadratic stuff, which means it has an X squared or a W squared, I need to have it equal to 0 first. So I'm going to subtract 403 from both sides. So 0 equals 2W squared plus 5W minus 403. All right, from here, I would suggest using the quadratic formula because this is a pretty big number. I don't know if it's going to factor because not all things do. But so the number in front of the W squared is my A. Number in front of the regular W is B. Number by itself is C. It might not be in this order. I would recommend writing it in this order first and then deciding A, B, and C. Okay? So from here, I'm going to plug it into my equation. So X equals the opposite of B is how you start the equation, opposite of B. B is positive 5, so the opposite is negative 5. Plus or minus the square root of B squared. So 5 squared minus 4 times A. A was worth 2. And C is worth negative 403. All of that's divided by 2 times A, and A is worth 2. So 2 times 2 on the bottom. Okay? So the next step we're going to do, I would suggest typing in the stuff underneath the square root sign first. Okay? So if you do that, so you still have the square root sign in there. And I'm going to get a big number, which I don't have. But you're going to take the square root of that, and then you'll end up getting 57. Okay? So whatever you have, take the square root, and you should get 57. If you don't get 57, that means you messed up typing this in. Okay? So then it's divided by 2 times 2 is a 4. So I have 2 solutions here. I need to take care of this plus and minus sign. So I'm going to have X equals negative 5 plus 57. Type that in first, and then divide it by 4. And that answer should give you 13. Right? Or you do this minus sign. So X equals negative 5 minus 57. And then you divide that by 4. Hit enter first after this top part, then divide it by 4. You get X equals negative 15.5. Oops, negative. Okay? Oops, I guess we weren't really solving for X. We're solving for W, but it's the same thing. So this is representing the width. So the width is either 13 centimeters or a negative 15.5 centimeters. And we can't have a negative distance. So we're going to say no to that answer. That is the correct answer for our equation. It just doesn't fit our word problem. So here's our solution. So the width is 13 centimeters. Because it wants you to write it as a sentence. So hopefully that helps you with the quadratic formula for that one. Let's see our time here. All right, so there's one more thing I was going to talk about in this problem. So problem 39. Problem 39 says to solve however you want. So our 3 methods for solving quadratic equations are using the quadratic formula, which we just did. One of them is factoring and using the zero product property, which is the box and diamond. Okay? And then our third method is completing the square, which is where you split up the middle number and you have to add something or subtract something to both sides to make the square be filled in. So I'm just going to tell you, for all of the ones in 939, I would recommend doing the quadratic formula because a lot of them are decimals. You don't have to do that, but I would recommend that. So I'm going to get you set up for this. Hopefully that'll help. 10,000 x squared minus 64. So if you use the quadratic formula, A is 10,000. B is the number with an x. There's no regular x term, so that's going to be nothing, 0. And C would be negative 64. So if you use the quadratic formula, which again, here is what it is, those are the numbers you're going to plug in. To A. Alright, so hopefully that helps get you set up. For B, on same problem, it's 9x squared minus 8 equals negative 34x. We want to, again, get this equal to 0 first, no matter which method you do. So I'm going to add 34x, and I'm going to put the minus 8 on the end, just so they're all in the same order. I want to start with the biggest exponent, then kind of going down from there, and my constant term on the end. So if you do the quadratic formula, A is 9, B will be 34, and C will be negative 8. So you plug those in to this formula right there. Okay? For problem D, technically, it says D on here. I'm going to have, again, A is 3.2. No, A is not 3.2. That one's not in the right order. So A is 0.2, B is 3.2, and C equals negative 5. So again, you could plug that into this formula here, and I sent you the answer, so hopefully that'll help you do the quadratic formula problems.